What is up, everyone? Archer Gaming here, and today we're coming at you with a bit of a different video again. So this is my Azalea deck that I made top 8 with. Came 5th overall with in Geek Retreats PQ ProQuest. So just kind of wanted to talk through that. I saw a couple of people asking about deck lists of various top 4s and top 8s. So kind of just wanted to run through my Azalea deck, talk through some of the matchups I had, and sort of go from there. The decklist link will be in the link below, along with my Instagram and Facebook. So again, if you ever want to follow me along at events, I do often post up there. This time with weather and stuff, bit of a hoo-ha. Was distracted by trying to travel to get to the venue, and then round one happened. But yeah, ultimately was a good fun few days. It was a good fun event. Like I say, I'll talk through the deck first, then I'll talk through why I used in particular matchups, talk through what was in the sideboard and why, and then I'll talk a little bit about improvements. So let's start with the attacks first, as that is the bulk of the deck. So we start off with Batter and Bolt. New card from Everfest. Absolutely amazing. It's a 6, so it's in there to pop Prism Auras. The on-hit is great against a Warrior and some other more attack reaction decks, or a bit more defensive decks as well. It was a great card. I never took it out of the main deck. It is a main deck staple. Along with Bolt and Shot as well. The reload's great. Not a huge amount of pumps, but we'll get into that in a minute on how I was consistently getting the go again on that. And then we have the yellow. All three of these. 2 CNCs. Again, it's Command and Conquer. It's great. The whole idea of the deck is they're not able to play defense reactions and being able to destroy the defense reacts they've got in the arsenal because of Dreadball. It's just a great feeling. I only run in the J because I only own 2. I was potentially looking at borrowing one for the event, but my friend forgot to bring it in, so I forgot to remind him. So we were only running the 2 there, but it worked. It worked its course. It was more of a sideboard card. However, I did end up cycling against most of the matchups I played. But again, yeah, it's Command and Conquer. Endless Arrow, great 0 for 4, Regurgent towards late game against Fatigue. Speaking of Fatigue, actual Fatigue Shot. Definitely a sideboard arrow. Great against older. More of in there for Star of the Show Bravo, which I didn't see in 6 rounds, weirdly. But again, I'll go through that shortly. Headshot is just a 1 for 6. Most of the time. 1 for 7, sometimes occasionally if I was just loading that into my bow. With a pump, it's a 10, 12, big hit. No one hit effect, but still a great hit. Blue, the blue one as well is in here. Again, it's a blue pitch, but if you do end up top decking it, it's still a 1 for 4, which still isn't terrible. Not that I don't think I ever dominated it, but it still hits that pressure point. Red in the Leisure, obviously playing Azalea. Absolutely great against a lot of decks, against Bravo, trying to set up with stuff, Chain, Briar, anyone who needs something, Katsu, anyone who needs to do multiple things, great card to play against them. Same for Remorseless, ties in with Dreadball, which was kind of the main bow of the deck, preventing them just playing defense reactions, preventing them playing action cards, penalization. A Ridge Rider Shot to help with the opt. It's just, again, it's another 0 for 4, but it's helping with the opt options. Same reason the yellow one's in here. It doesn't feel bad cycling it if I end up having to load my bow to potentially get a better dominating. Yellow in there more for the pitch than the opt, but it's still an 0 for 3 if it does end up coming in, or an 0 for 4 if I've had to trigger the bow to put it in. Don't see anything with the opt, but it's a defense react. I feel like I might need it next turn. And then Sleep Dart as well. Sideboard card for heroes that it matters on. Again, I'll talk about the heroes I used against it, but stuff like, Dash is kind of just a blank card against. But, there's still a few matchups where it's kind of key. Oldham, Prism. But yeah, that's the attack actions. Weapon-wise, we were on a Dreadball and Redliner. Redliner was for more of the later part of the tournament when people knew what I was doing with Dreadball, to be able to flick it up. Now, the only attack react I was playing was Lunging Press. Again, it's a 0 for a 1 pump. Pitches for 3, and it can trigger Bolt and Shot to give it the go again as a reaction step, which I think is really cool. It was in over Razor mainly because, again, the cost on this is mainly a redline deck, but you do occasionally need that blue pitch to load an arrow in with Dreadball. And it's better than a blue Razor in my opinion because I'm not relying on the go again as much. Then we go to Defense React. Ignore you, McAfee. There we go. Defense Reacts, we had Fate Foreseen. Again, only 2 of these and 2 syncs. Sync because, card filtering is handy, and Fate, again, is allowing me to opt. And then, of course, we had Take Cover as well, allowing me to reload. Very little way around Dominate sometimes, just being able to take cover another Defense React. We had Feign Death. Again, a yellow pitch for games I need a slightly higher curve against, or multiple attack damaging decks. Hardly got used, but still was in the sideboard just in case. And Rain Razors again, same reason I'm running Blue Lunging Press. It's just a pump for 2 for 0. Pitches for 2 as well, which is again something you kind of sometimes need in this deck, that 2 resources rather than the 1. And again, only the 2 of them, but again, can pump in a Bolt and Shot turn. Like if you can play one of those out to pump Bolt and Shot to give it go again and reload, and they haven't blocked it all out. Reload, fire in something else for 6 or 7. Absolutely great. I do love this card. Then we go into Talisman of Balance. Again, another 2 off, another blue pitch. One of the only talismans I actually saw all day anyone using from Everfest. I really like this. It has go again at the start, so I'm not penalising my turn for a setup. But it is allowing me, if they have a card in Arsenal or I've opted and seen a defense react, to, especially like a take cover or something, and I feel, again, dominated attacks are coming in, I can load that take cover and defense react. Also as well, just, if in terms of tempo, if I need to play all 4 cards out to, pump, pitch to reload and things like that, then it can really help keep tempo. And sometimes, you need to block out with all your cards, so you hit then an arrow off the top, which will allow you to trigger Azalea to keep shuffling and trigger the Skullbone Cross Wrap. But yeah, equipment-wise, only the 5. So we have Bullseye Bracers, again, have Arcane Barrier built in, loading up the arrow with the +1, great for Bolt and Shot, great for a turn where, I'm trying to get multiple attacks off. Tunic, again, it's consistently paying for an arrow every 3 turns, and the game's typically going 6 to 9 turns. I was getting 3 or 4 resources out of it. Perch Grapplers and Snapdragons were the only interchangeable parts of my deck, depending on the match. I think I used Perch Grapplers a couple of games, once against Prism, once against Oldham, just to try and prevent a crush effect and some of the on-hit triggers of Prism. Snapdragons for the rest of the decks, because I did try and race a lot more. Then we go into the non-attacks. We have Not the Death Bottle, absolutely great. Find the arrow you need. Also a blue pitch, also blocks for 3. Read the guide path. Again, more opt, trying to get more consistency out of Azalea and that top deck. Typically more than half my deck was arrows anyway. But being able to opt a few times, absolutely great. Release Attention. Again, another +3. Again, more of effects that decks that are trying to be defensive and try and put defense reacts in Arsenal. This is probably one of the few that would maybe drop out and change to something else. For me, it just kind of replaced Nimblism. In my deck, it does the same thing. It just gives a +3 to my arrows, and as the only 1 cost I was running before when I was running Nimblism was arrows, it's the same effect. Seek and Destroy, again, comboing off with a Battering Bolt, especially if it's dominated, forcing them to use those cards, forcing them to not be able to set up defense reacts in Arsenal. Absolutely great. Smashing Good Time kind of replaced Plunderer for me. Again, sometimes reloading it to play it from Arsenal was a bit easier than some other decks. It was more of a sideboard for aggro games or Dash. And I did play 1 game against Dash, which Smashing Good Time hit quite a few times, but got both of them out, but they just couldn't murder anything. Take Aim, again, 0 +3 reload. Talisman of Balance we've spoken about already, and then 2 copies of Try Shot. Never used it as for its ability, it's just a 3-block blue pitch, and one day that ability might come into effect, especially if I went more of the red line route and was able to get multiple shots off a turn with the snaps, or even run the Purge Grapplers, pop that in a turn. But yeah, so that was the overall deck. So my sideboard fully was the 2 Trislots, 2 Feigned Deaths, 2 CNCs, 2 Smashing Good Times, 3 Fatigue Swords, and 3 Sleep Darts. So quite a few cards in the sideboard, but just allowed me to rotate in what I needed. Sleep Darts are pointless against some decks. You know, same as Feign Death. If they're only going to hit me once a turn, it's not really worth. CNC kind of ended up staying in deck most of the time. Same as Smash and Good Time. That rotated out most games. Along with the Fatigue Shots and Sleep Darts, again rotating in depending on what I'm up against. So my first match was actually against a guy called Cliff who played Dash. I've got my notes here from my life totals, and his consistent damage on me was 2. I managed to get a dominated Smash and Good Time attack off twice. He just had 1 Plasma Purifier out and just couldn't get him through. He just literally blocked everything. It had unmovables and Arsenal at the right times. But yeah, he didn't know Dreadball was a thing, so this was one of the games I ran Dreadball for. He didn't know that was a thing and tried to play a lot more defense reacts. So his hand was getting penalized. And it played really well. I was really happy with that game. Dash control is something I hadn't actually played before. Played against, especially in constructed level, played against aggro dash and blitz, but not control dash. I was really, really happy about that. So that was the first game, so I managed to get that win. Second one was against Prism, which is definitely a matchup I hate. I think by the end of turn 2 or turn 3, he had, I think it was 7 shields and a Merciful Retribution, the one that when a shield does damage, it does that much, does an additional, you lose a life. So quite a hard pick. So I'm like, oh god. I managed to load up a Ridge Rider shot for 4, hit it into him. He just takes it, so I snap it to kill off 4 of the Spectrals. Then managed to, I flipped that from Arsenal as well, so I've managed to see that I've got a battering bolt up top. Pitch 1, trigger Dreadball, fire a Bolton shot, which he does take, and then fire the Dreadbolt into him as well. Strip his hand, see 3 defense reacts in there, so he loses 3 life. Strip out his hand of yellows as well for the turn, so we can't do anything. Then the following turn, hit a Bolton shot into, I think it might have been a yellow Ridge Rider shot just into its aura, and just managed to change tempo in a turn. Really, really fun game actually. It was a big old swing again. Consistent chit damage for me. For him was just a few big hits. End of the turn, I think I got him. He had to take 1 big turn where again he didn't read Dreadball, didn't understand it when I played it, and I think I managed to hit I think I pitched a red. I had a card in Arsenal, I had a tuna counter. I think I pitched 1 card and managed to hit him for like 12 with a Dreadball shot and just dominated. Just then again strip his hand for another 3 life, and again Batter and Bolt did as well in this game. I absolutely love that card. I didn't think I would a 2 for 6 arrow. I thought it's definitely going to be more of a sideboard piece to help deal with Prism. But yeah, no, it's absolutely great with Dreadball. When they can't play defense reaction, then see them in hand, and you just strip them and penalize them for having them. It's kind of like that double-edged sword. Yeah, which brings me on to my third game, which was against Oldham. It's very, very close. It was against Caleb, a player I've known for many years. Used to play L5R quite a lot against him. A great story of him at the event actually. He needed to run a Rampart of the Ram's Head, couldn't borrow one, so his mate brought a case of Aria, and he managed to crack it 3 boxes in. So yeah, extremely lucky he had his shield anyway. But super close game again. I think it ended with me on 2 life, him on 1. Again, he was coming at the point of win as well. I managed to cycle through to my defense reacts at that point, so I was able to prevent them. Again, Feigned Death wasn't in there because it's Oldham. He's not getting multiple attacks off. Um, I did curve in the try shots and stuff like that to help deal with the fatigue. And again, just managed to get lucky with being able to keep get to a tuna counter, um, and then like a dominated red in the ledger for 8 or 9 just to do the last bit of damage I needed to do. So that was me 3-0 at that point. I then went up against Viserai. Again, another deck I hadn't played that much against. I think the last time I played against Viserai was Nats. We do have a local Viserai deck player. So again, he does play with some of the stuff, and I do build Briar for my missus, so I do understand a bit what's going on more than I did say against the Dash player a lot earlier. We have a Prism player and we have an Oldham player. But yeah, super close. I decided to do something a bit crazy in this game. I actually took out my defense reacts from my sideboard. So I took out the face, took out the sinks, took out the take covers, left the feign deaths behind, and just went, I just need to race him, which is what I did. And again, it worked out really well. I think I managed to hit him with a fatigue shot at the right time because I had to still run 1 to keep me at a 60 card deck, while getting rid of all my defense reacts and defending cards. And yeah, I managed to hit him with a fatigue shot the turn he was setting up to play his Knight's Blade. So again, he took him a turn extra to get to that, which I think is what got me the game, because the next turn it was again, he didn't attack, so I had a full grip, played a pump into a knock the death whistle to get a red in the ledger and just sort of finish him off, really. When he's on the 1 action, again, it slows him down for another turn, so it's a lot more slow and control. So that was me 4-0 at this point, so I kind of knew I was going to make the cut. It was just either in first or second place, which was something I wasn't really expecting at that stage. Which is then when I went against a Earth Briar deck. Again, didn't really know how to play against it. It's not something I've come across locally. My wife plays more of Cheerios Briar still, because she enjoys that style. So I was trying to play around it more like it would be a Oldham or Bravo, the fatigue shots were in there. But the fact it was just like mixing Arcane, mixing chip smaller attacks with Go Again into something big really kind of threw me off. I didn't really have much of a game plan against that, so I did lose that game, unfortunately. But made the cut in second place, 4-1 on strength of schedule, so really, really happy about that. I think I made the right choices in that game. I don't think there's much else I could have done. I think maybe I did turn off the tempo a little bit because I was kind of holding back a little bit for a channel Mount Heroic turn coming up, and I felt I could feel one coming. But it just never did, so I kind of kept a knock in hand for a couple of turns too long. I think to try and maybe switch that off. I was waiting for him to play it for me to search for a red on the ledger to switch that turn off. But it just didn't come. So I held on the knock for 2 or 3 turns too many. Which again, I think was the major loss of that game. I don't know if I would have used it, whether it would have helped me. But yeah, ultimately, a really fun game. And then my top 8 game, I did lose to Chain, which was played by Sean, who did end up going on to the final. Again, really, really close game. Again, he's an excellent player, made top 8 in Nationals as well. Very, very strong player. And again, was really, really close. I had him down to 3 when he killed me, but he had like 2 unusable blood debt in his thing, so he had to kill me. I had to block out with my headpiece to prevent dying, which meant he could just come at me with the arcane damage from Rosetta and finish me off, and there's nothing I could really do about it. Didn't cycle through to the feigned deaths. Hindsight, I should have taken the same approach I did to the Viserai, take out the defense reacts and just try and outrace him. Penalise him with some big hits. Early game, I did see all 3 of my reds super early, and we didn't get long enough for me to cycle back around. I couldn't quite hold them off enough. And also, I kind of didn't want to. So yeah, kind of a bit unlucky in that game, but also again, Sean's a very skilled player. He then went on to play the Viserai. I played him round 4, who beat me, and then he lost to Prism in the final. But absolutely, end of it all, absolutely amazing few games. Really, really happy with how I'd done with the Azalea. The target was to win 2 games, so to go 4-1, make the top 8, and be the highest ranked Azalea player there out of none. Bit gutted I didn't go against Bravo star of the show. I think I kind of the plan in that was to hit with Remorseless and Red on the Ledger and try and penalise their hand, Seek and Destroys. But it didn't. Again, I just didn't come across one. There was quite a few there, so I kind of just dodged them. None of my games, I would say, I got particularly went, oh yeah, I've just won this. Because again, I'm still playing Azalea. There's still that element of luck of not finding arrows, which did happen a few times. But I managed to control that. I remember one time I hit a lunge and press, and the guy was like, "Oh, that sucks." It's like, yeah, so just ended up pitching. I think it was a Rain Razors for a CNC. He then blocked for 6, and I just put the lunge and press on top. So that was kind of funny. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. I was like, yeah. But yeah, ultimately it was a really, really fun game. Really, really good day. Unfortunately, it's the only pro quest I am making just due to travel and times of events and things like that. But ultimately, really, really happy with where Azalea is. Going to make some tweaks to this. I think I'm going to bring Poison the Tips in as well to really, really help against Bravo Star of the show. Really penalise his hand and add that bit more hand penalising in. Discarding cards as well. Because then if they got a defense race in hand, they're kind of going to discard it because they can't use it against Dreadboard. So I think we maybe look at that. Maybe removing the perch wrappers and just sticking with this is my 4 equipment. This is the 4 equipment I'm going to use. The perch wrappers did come in handy, but I think again it's one of those awkward ones. Smashing to time the 2 was absolutely fine. Obviously, would love to get a third CNC in here. E-Strike was another one I did consider quite a lot of, but again, I just couldn't find the room for it. That was it. I still kind of wanted to bring another 6 different arrows into this deck, but just couldn't find the space. I'm a big fan of Hamstring Shot. I'm a big fan of Hamstring Shot and the other newer one I did kind of want to play with, which I can't remember the name of it, from Everfest. But yeah, I think the Talisman of Balance was a great addition. The stuff from Everfest I have in this deck, I was really happy it's there. Dreadbore, absolutely amazing if your opponent doesn't know you're playing it. This is why I had the Redliner in the sideboard. The plan was for top 8 to go to Redliner, to kind of make them double guess. And then, if someone does spy on that, and they do see that a bit late game, I can then switch out between Redliner and Dreadbore, and then they're kind of second guessing themselves. Do I take out all these defense reacts and hope he's playing Dreadbore? Or, I take out all these defense reacts, he's playing Redliner, so it's a cheaper deck, and brings in the tri-shot and can go a little bit wider, but a little bit quicker. But ultimately, it was a great day. So thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do let me know. A bit more positive than my Alexi Decktech video. But thank you ever so much for watching. Catch you in the next video. Take it easy.